Today we're back with another r/amida a-hole. If you don't know what r/amida a-hole is, it's a subreddit where people can basically submit situations that went on in their life, and as a community we get to decide if they were in the right or wrong. And personally these are my favourite types of videos to do because we get to judge people. Amida a-hole for giving a mother with a crying baby my seat near my wife to teach her a lesson. So my wife and I recently went on a trip together paid for by her dad. He flew us to Hawaii with first class seats. We had a great time. My wife is used to travel while I'm less experienced with plane travel. This was the first time I flew first class. Honestly, I wish I could fly first class, imagine that. I don't know how long their flight is, but if it's a long one, they're going to be in them proper wee pods. On our way back home, we were sat near the back. We were by the border between us and the undesirables. Okay, if he's talking about undesirable, does he mean people who aren't in first class? This seems a bit classist to me. A mother and her baby were one of the first aboard, and the poor baby was not having a good time. I felt even worse for the mother, as I know she's probably equally distressed about the baby crying. While I felt sympathy, my wife was mad. She kept making comments about how our flight was going to be miserable as the best. Her complaining went on for the longest time. She kept saying that the mother was irresponsible, and if she doesn't know how to calm her baby, she shouldn't be taken on a plane. I tried to tell her to calm down as it's not that serious, but she wasn't having it. Eventually I got tired of that, so I offered to go speak to the mum for my wife. She said she would be happy if I did. I went back in between boarding groups and told the mother I would give her my first class seat so she can kick her feet up, and that may be more comfortable for her and her baby. She didn't want to initially, but I insisted, and her husband encouraged her to take it. She took her baby up to first class, and I got a series of angry texts from my wife. So I felt like this was not a huge deal, as my wife brought noise cancelling headphones, and the other people in first class most likely do as well. And if they don't, they have normal headphones and can simply block out the baby. It's 2023, not 1990. We're not living in the Stone Age. The baby cried for about 30 minutes on an 8-hour flight, so barely at all. When my wife and I met up, she was livid. She told me that I ruined her flight and ruined the end of the trip for her. I told her she's overreacting to something that's only mildly annoying. She has refused to drop this amida a-hole. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know. Obviously it sounds good, you know, he helped out a mother with a child, but I do believe he didn't have good intentions and he done it purposely, so it means that the wife would be pissed off. And then you also do have to keep in mind she did go into first class, and you know, like, I don't know what the seats are like in first class. If it was a long flight, maybe they were in the pods, or maybe she was actually sat beside the wife. I don't know. I'm gonna say you probably are a bit of an a-hole. Well, anyways, let's see what the Redditors have to say. You're the a-hole, lol, teach your wife a lesson. Don't stay married to her if you don't need to do petty things. At least they can save money in the future, not getting a first class ticket for you. Yeah, so basically people are saying he shouldn't have done it because the crying baby went into first class, and you know, even though they might have like noise cancelling headphones, still a bit annoying. Yet again, if he had good intentions, I could understand why he done it, but I don't think he had good intentions. I honestly do believe he done it just to get back at his wife, and honestly if I were your wife's dad, I would not be paying for another first class ticket. I'm an a-hole because I think we should just trust the kids. Our son 13 is a big reader. I have an older son 18 who is a big fantasy and sci-fi fan. Recently our 13-year-old started reading the Ice and Fire book. When my wife saw him reading the first one, she got upset and confiscated it. Okay, I wonder why. Is there maybe a reason? Is maybe a bit too inappropriate? We never read these books, but we saw some of the HBO show, which was quite ... adult. Our 18-year-old is the one who loaned him the book, and he insists the books are not as bad as the show and are fine to read. Okay, so I'm assuming that the book might not be a bit age appropriate, but yet again, 13, like what's the worst gonna happen? A bit of intercourse. My wife asked if there was intercourse in the books, and he said yes, but not as much as the show, and it's relevant to the plot and not overly graphic. When we were discussing this as a family, I said we should trust the kids because reading is good, and if our oldest says it isn't pornographic, it can't be that bad. My wife gave her 13-year-old the book back. She was quite angry with me afterwards because she doesn't want him reading the book, but after what I said, she felt like she had to concede or be the bad guy. I think it's just a book. At 13, he's already looking at diagrams of genitals in health class. I can't imagine this book is anything too severe for him to read unless it's porn, and her son says it isn't. I think we should trust them and their judgment, but my wife says I'm being ignorant. Okay, yes, I'm gonna say you're not the a-hole. 13-year-olds start watching stuff online, reading books, movies, etc. I mean, I'm thinking about the books that I used to read. Like, some of the books that I read weren't appropriate. You can't protect kids forever as a teenager. However, I'm assuming it's not that bad. Like, if it's graphic, no. But if it's like a tiny bit, I guess it's not that bad. Anyways, let's read some Reddit responses. Not the a-hole. If your wife thinks a 13-year-old knows nothing about sex, she is delusional. I mean, yeah, that is true. Trust me, 13-year-olds, they know a lot. I was reading very graphic Harry Potter fanfiction at that age, lol. I'm pretty sure the Harry Potter books have stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a few scenes where Hermione and like, or is it Ron? Ron and Hermione give a wee kiss to each other. I mean, that's not intercourse, but you know, they're really going at it. So no, you're not the a-hole. Maybe your wife should just realize that her little son isn't like a 6-year-old anymore. He's 13, so he's gonna start to get into that stuff. I'm an a-hole for continuing to sleep nude despite my neighbors being able to see into my bedroom. So I'm a 28-year-old dude and I've been living in my house for a few years now. One of the main reasons I chose this place was because my bedroom face east, allowing me to wake up to the morning sunlight. Most mornings I wake up before my alarm goes off just because the sunlight coming through the window waking me up. There used to be a tree line and it provided a natural barrier between my house and any potential neighbours. So I never saw the need for curtains or blinds, along with them being expensive as hell for nice ones. Recently my neighbourhood expanded and most of the tree line my bedroom was facing was cut down to build new houses. So boom, then there's a house was built right across from mine and their window has a clear view into my bedroom. Oh god, well your neighbours are gonna have a right lovely sight, aren't they? I mean, to be fair, there's been a few times whenever I've accidentally looked out my window and my neighbours are outside and we make like eye contact. If you've ever done it, you know it's the worst feeling ever. It's like, oh, you basically duck and hide. I've always been comfortable sleeping nude and it wasn't an issue when there was no neighbours around. But not long after the people moved in, the father from the house came over to my house and pretty much told me to stop being nude in front of my window since his family can see inside my bedroom. He wasn't nice about it, but he wasn't mean either. Just matter of factly, like he gave me an order and fully expected it to be done like I was his kid or his employee. I was somewhat surprised but understood his concern, so I made an effort to be more mindful of the nudity when in view of the window. I stopped cleaning and making my bed before getting dressed. I'd hop out of bed, walk into my closet and at least put on shorts, then go about my morning chores. Okay, so by the sounds of it, this guy is making an effort, but the neighbours could also make an effort by not looking in. Don't look through the window and then you won't see his willy. That being said, I still sleep nude and I occasionally end up being visible to the neighbours for a brief moment after waking up. The father came over again, leading to an argument between us. I told him I was trying my best to be considerate, but there's only so much I can do and it's my house and I'm not changing my lifestyle because they moved in. He threatened to call the police and said I was being a menace to the neighbourhood, whatever the hell that means. So I'm at an a-hole for continuing to sleep nude even though my neighbours can see into my bedroom. I'm gonna say no, you're not, mainly because they choose to look in. If they want to, I guess they could get blinds. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I accidentally look through my neighbour's window. It's really awkward, I don't mean to do it, you kind of just do it. Or maybe you could get blinds, you know, you could get like them like half blinds where like, you know, the light still does come through but it doesn't completely block it out. But I want to talk about something. It's so easy for somebody to see into your house. I don't think people even realise that. I've got a habit of walking around my bedroom naked and sometimes my mum's like, yeah, you know, you can see up through the window. She doesn't see me naked, by the way, but you know, sometimes I'll just be sitting in my room and she'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I can see you from outside. So yeah, if you do have open windows, just know your neighbours can probably see in and you probably don't want them seeing you naked. Not the a-hole, but maybe you could get a window cling that obscures the clear view into your bedroom without sacrificing the natural light you enjoy and the fleshy freedom you love. I mean, yeah, because think of it with bathrooms. Sometimes if you walk into a bathroom, it's got like, I don't know, like that glitz stuff. It's kind of like blurry. I guess you could maybe get that for your window. But then on the flip side, maybe the neighbours could, you know, not be weird and look in. Like, what neighbour is looking in? Is it the whole family? Is it like one bedroom? How about they just don't look in for your bedroom? So myself and Reddit have decided you're not the a-hole, but maybe, you know, you should wear a wee pair of pants in the morning and then maybe your neighbours should not look for your window. If they're able to look for your bedroom window, what other windows are looking into? Okay, so we've got time for one more and this is a juicy one. I'm at an a-hole for making my stepson share the snacks he bought with his own candy with his sister. I'm already gonna label it, yes, you are the a-hole. Are you taking a mickey having to share candy? Absolutely not. Myself, 32-year-old female, and my husband, who's 40, has a son who's 17 from a previous relationship. We have an 8-year-old daughter together and a baby 7 months. My stepson got a part-time job around Christmas. He works in Starbucks. He's using his money to buy mostly gaming equipment, games and clothes, but sometimes he also buys snacks. They're not special snacks or anything, just Doritos or chips from the store. He likes to have some bags to eat while he's playing. He brought a big pack of stuff yesterday after work. When he came home, my daughter asked him what he brought and started looking through the stuff. He had some candy and she asked for some. He told her those candies were his and told her not to touch it. She insisted on having some, and as he said no, they started arguing and then she cried. I think I know how this is going to go. Because the child's had a tantrum, the boy's going to be made to share his candy. If it's 1 or 2 sweets, it's not that bad, but if he literally has to share it, absolutely not. She came crying to me, waking up my youngest son, who's Steven, by the way, and told me what happened. So I told my son to just share some candy with her and help. He argued that he bought it with his own money so he doesn't have to give her anything. I told him we buy most of our groceries with his dad's and my money so we could use the same logic. He continued arguing until I threatened to ground him and he finally gave in. He was upset afterwards. I mean, yeah, of course he's being made to share candy that he bought for himself. And also, can we talk about this? They use that stupid reverse psychology. I told him that we buy most of our groceries with his dad's and my money so we could use the same logic. No, you can't, because that stuff's bought for the whole family. It's different from candy. When my husband came home, we told him what happened, and my husband called me off for treating stepson as a little child. He said that since he's been responsible with his job and getting his own money, then he should get to decide if he wants to share his snacks or not. And he told me not to get my frustration out on his son. I'm an a-hole. I'm gonna go with yes. You know, if he only had to share like 1 or 2 crisps, that's not that bad. But by the sounds of it, he was gonna have to share like all of it. And one thing about me, I'm territorial whenever it comes to food. If I'm being forced to share with you, I'm absolutely gonna put up a fight. I personally think you're an a-hole, but let's see what Reddit has to say. You're the a-hole. You caved because your daughter cried for not getting her own way. Your stepson paid for the snacks out of his own money and had every right not to share. If you had said you'd reimburse him, then that would have been better, but ultimately the decision was his to make. Exactly, it's like whenever you say sharing, that means like half-half, like you split it 50-50. If it was like 1 or 2 sweets, not that bad. Yet again, why is a child eating eating sweets. And notice how the little girl cried. That's how a kid gets its way, just throw a tantrum. Literally because the parents can't be bothered with it, you know, they don't want the screaming crying child, so the easiest way to shut it up is just to shove candy in its mouth. Also, to add to this, you're their parents, it's your duty to ensure there's food in the house. He's still a child and shouldn't be expected to pay any of the expenses. Saying that you pay for X, Y, and Z is a stupid argument since that's your job as a parent to do and not his. You're the a-hole. Yeah, so basically I agree with Reddit, she does seem like a bit of an a-hole. Is it that serious? No, but yet again, do not force someone to share stuff if they don't want to share it. Well, anyways guys, that is some r/am the a-hole posts. If you want to see me do another of these next week, let me know, definitely will. Press that big red subscribe and see you all tomorrow for another video.